one.
Welcome to Reset to Healthier Relationships, open discussion, Sunday nights at 9. I am Coach Glenda here with our course manager, Rufus Carpenter. Rufus and I have created this format as a safe place to discuss trials, struggles, and victories in past and present relationships. This is not a one-size-fits-all open discussion. There is no topic too minor or major that we cannot discuss. We encourage everyone to participate and speak their truth. This is the non-judgmental zone, so talk as much or as little as you like. Now, everyone, we want to thank you for showing up again at 9 o'clock tonight. I know that it is a huge sacrifice. Trust me, I understand, because most of us, I will say, have work tomorrow morning. However, we are so excited to have part 2 from our topic from last week. And the topic from last week, I feel so comfortable at saying it tonight because last week, Mr. Carpenter threw me off guard with the title. So since he revised it a little, it is, sister, please tell me this isn't true. You're grieving a breakup with this Mother’4-Low?
That's well stated, Glenda, well stated. Hey. Well stated.
All right, Mr. Carpenter, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell our guests, a little bit about your background and the topic of discussion tonight?
Good evening, everybody. Once again, my name is Rufus Carpenter, and welcome here to Sunday night at 9. We're happy to have you here because we really don't have a program unless you're here. So you bring the heat. So for that, we thank you. Really appreciate you. Once again, the format is that you have 40 of your girlfriends are in your living room and you guys are relaxed, and somebody might have a glass of wine or whatever their beverage of choice is. And then you actually talk about one subject about a relationship. And then as you go through that, everybody get a chance to talk about it and you get to share your truth. Because sometimes just to hear yourself say some of the stuff you go through makes it a lot easier to deal with. And that's what we try to do. We try to make this forum something you can deal with. My name, again, is Rufus Carpenter. I come to this space a little different than most. My journey started as a kid in a family of 14 kids. It was in a small house with 14 kids, 3 bedrooms, and 1 bath. So if you can imagine sleeping with 3 or 4 of your siblings and then dealing with the occasional bedwetter, man, you understand the essence of a human connection. So my story started there. And from there, I was married 27 years to the same lady. And if you married 27 years, you learn a thing about compromise. You learn a thing about commitment. You learn a thing about trust. And you learn a lot about communication. But the most important thing is you understand what a relationship connection is all about. Once again, my story didn't stop there. I was part of the United States Army, and I'm a retiree of the Army, as a matter of fact. And one of my jobs and one of my special duties in the military was I was a human race relation NCO and leader, where I had to go in and investigate and do the first intake of any relationship issue we had within our unit. And because of that, because of the diverse background of the military, they gave me a rounded background of relationships in a diverse situation. So tonight, I'm more than happy to discuss my background, anything on relationship. So we're going to have a good time. Like Glenda said, this topic is fire. Sister, please tell me you ain't grieving a breakup with this Mother’4-Low? Well, there's 2 sides of this. Last week we went through it. We had fun with the topic. We discussed it. And last week we talked more about the good side of it, where, hey, look, you want to give you support. You broke up with somebody. We talked about the different stages of grief, and we were there to support you, and we wanted to help you get through that. And last week we talked about the denial stage. We talked about the anger stage, and we kind of round out with the bargaining stage. Yeah. And the review of it, the denials, you may do the review of it Glenda, you want to do it?
You can go ahead.
Okay. The denial stage is where you can't believe it happened. You say, "Oh, no way," and then you think that maybe you guys just had a misfire, that next week y'all be back together. But where it is, really, it's over, and you just can't believe it. Why this happened to me? No, it's not over. We need to come back, sit down at the table, and figure this out. But it's over, and that's the next thing. If you can't get it back, then the next stage, anger. You're angry, you're pissed off. You're saying, "What happened here? I did my best, and this guy or this girl, they just didn't understand my value." And yeah, you get mad. You're ready to tear up something, or you're ready to, to just shut the whole world out. And then the third part of this is the bargaining stage. Now, the bargaining stage, when sometimes you bargain with yourself, "If I could have done this a little different, if I'd have came home a little earlier, if I'd have put more money in the bank, if I'd have been a better husband, if I'd have been a better wife, if I'd have kept the babies on, if I'd have did this and I did that." But a lot of times people bargain with the Lord. They say, "Lord, please, Lord, if you get us back together, Lord, I'll never ever cheat again. I love this person to death." And that's the bargaining stage, because you don't just bargain with yourself. Sometimes you bargain with the Lord, or sometimes you bargain with your other partner or the situation. And that's when we stopped at. We stopped right there. So Glenn, I'm turned over to you so you can talk about the next. We'll go ahead into the fourth part of grief. And also you got to understand that everybody don't grieve the same. And you don't necessarily go through these stages of grief. You can flip-flop and go to any set of grief, because we don't grieve the same in relationships. Okay? Go ahead, Glenn.
Okay. Before we dive in the next segment of the topic for tonight, we want to make sure just a little housekeeping rules. Make sure you keep your phones muted until it's your time to talk, if you desire to talk. So, because while we're having discussion and maybe someone else is talking, you don't want to hear anyone else's background. Just want to put those housekeeping rules out there. So the next segment from last week that we want to start at, is depression. All right. Now, the description of depression, it sets in when reality truly hits. I can't believe it's really over. And a good example of that is you might feel like staying in the bed all day, avoiding your friends and family. Now, I know I'm good for that. And it doesn't even have to be a breakup. It can be a bad incident at work. But a feeling of depression is, you just really don't want to interact with anybody. You don't want to hear anything anybody wants to say about your situation. You don't want to hear anything bad. You don't want to hear any encouraging words, because you're like, I can't believe this is really happening. You're in more or less disbelief, in all honesty. So it's important to acknowledge this stage and for you to recognize when you're depressed. And also I want to say, in regards to depression, before I open it up for any comments, another thing, an example of depression is people are, what they call it, they get eating disorders from being depressed. They're like emotional eaters. That's what they call it. I used to tell the doctor when I was going through my transition of losing weight, it's like, whenever there's a problem I can't really solve, I always turn to the refrigerator. He said, "Okay, you're an emotional eater. At least you know what your main issue is." And once I resolved that, I was able to start the process of losing weight successfully. But when you're talking about depression in terms of when you're grieving a breakup, you can, like I said, you can't really believe that this relationship is over. So you eat all the time. And before you know it, you go from 145 to 245 in maybe 6 months to a year. So anybody have any feedback or any comments on, examples of your experiences with depression during a breakup?
I wanna say something before anybody get a chance to talk. A lot of times when you get in a bad relationship, in a breakup relationship, a lot of people go to depression. That's the first step for a lot of people. They go there because they feel like the loss, feel like you lost something, feel like somebody done something to you, feel like your whole world has changed, and a lot of people can't cope and can't understand it, so they go into depression. And depression, like you said, you said you gain weight. Well, a lot of people gain weight, but a lot of people lose their appetite and
Yeah,
can't
they
sleep.
do.
I mean, for me, I think my depression is that I close down, and I don't want to be around anybody, and I pour myself into work. So, audience, let's talk about this. Let's talk about how you deal with depression in relationships, because I know Glenn and I aren't the only one that ever felt depression in a relationship. Who want to share first?
Well, I see
Like,
something in the chat from Andre. Can
Somebody was
you
going to say something before you get to chat. Andre, one. Somebody was going to say something. Let's let them comment.
go ahead? Go ahead. The
I
floor is
was getting
yours.
ready to, it wasn't because of a breakup, it was during um the marital situation, but I didn't know that I was depressed. I slept all the time.
Okay.
I mean, I slept all the time. Only thing I wanted to do was sleep,
Mhm.
but I just thought it was normal, you know, but it wasn't. I was in a depressed state and didn't know it.
Right.
A lot of people, that happened to a lot of people. A lot of people think this normal. They think there's something medical wrong with them, and it is a medical. It's a medical and a physical thing, because you're off balance, and you're thinking, hey, if I can just sleep this away, if I don't have to be bothered with nobody, I don't have to put on no clothes, I don't have to watch all this stuff. So that really is how a lot of people deal with it. And anybody got any other in the comments about this? Because we need to bring this out. So like Dr. Johnson said, that she didn't know. She didn't know she was depressed. She thought it was normal. So anybody else want to share? I know this isn't the three of us. I know it's just not me, Glenda, Dr. Johnson. I know this has been, you've seen people in the press. Or how do you deal with somebody that's depressed like that? What do you tell your girlfriend or a fellow friend then when they're depressed like that? How do you comfort them?
Snap out of it.
It's okay, Glenda, snap out of it. Don't
Yeah.
nobody want to hear that. Dr.
You're
Johnson,
right. They don't, but it's the truth.
it should have told you snap out of it. Would that done anything for you?
No, no. But you know, somebody that you know that's depressed, you try to get them involved with something. You know, try to get them out their environment, you know, leaving their home. Because even if you're depressed, a lot of people don't want to leave their home,
Right.
you know, but even just going out to lunch, you know, going to a movie or something, you know.
I had a friend, and she was so depressed, and I kind of figured, I noticed it, so I said I'm gonna help. I'm gonna try to help her and get through stuff. Man, I got to the point she hated me because I was trying to push her out, and she she turned on me.
Right. That happens too. Some people don't, they really don't want to hear nothing positive, negative, or encouraging. They just want to go through the motion, regardless of whether they know you're right. Because I've had a lot of people that I have helped them do trials and their struggles, and they snapped on me, and then they came back and apologized because they knew that I was telling them right. It's just at that moment, that initial sting just really throws people over the top. They wasn't prepared, they wasn't ready, it wasn't what they wanted. So they just spaz out and they just shut everybody out, or they snap on you. I just shake it off. I'm like, okay, because I've been there and I know you're going to come out of this, but you just can't see it right now.
What is Andre? What do you say, Andre? Explain that one, Andre, because that one's like a lot to read right quick, and things happen so fast.
Well, I was just saying, like, I think sometimes when people have the short-term depression, sometimes you have to just allow in my mind, I think you have to allow people to allow their depression to run its course. But when it becomes that long-term depression is when you should start having some alarms, because I think people have depression as a normal life. So whether you go through a breakup, whatever, people get depressed for short periods of time. But it's when people can't seem to get out of it after that long period of time is when there should be a real concern, I think.
Yes, a lot of people think they supposed to grieve after they lose a relationship, after a breakup. They think they supposed to go through that. they don't think they're supposed to jump right back out there. They think, well, hell, I got to have a grieving period. Anybody notice that?
I don't want to call it a grieving period. I think they just need time to, get their thoughts together, rethink their strategy, maybe evaluate how the overall relationship worked out, the good, the bad, the ugly. I mean, I don't want to call it grieving because I mean, 'cause sometimes it's really, I mean, sometimes when you lose somebody, you're like, good riddance. I mean, at the end of the day, you really didn't serve a purpose. I can't, the bad outweighs the good. I was just hanging in there for whatever reason.
Okay, somebody else want to touch that?
I'll get you later.
Because I don't want to touch that one. Help out, Dr. Johnson, because you shaking your head.
Yes, I agree with Glenda because a lot of it, that leaving part ain't a grieving part.
Right.
Sometimes it's a party part. I mean, it's a party time. I'm glad you're going. Keep on trucking. Yeah. A lot of times it's not a grieving process.
Right.
It's for your betterment.
That's right.
And that's the underbelly of it all. That's the negative underbelly of a relationship. When someone let you go or so you break up for whatever reason, and you're there all depressed, your life is on hold, everything is stopped. Even if it's a marriage, like I think Andre said something about divorce. Even if it's a marriage or even if it's a relationship, the underbelly if somebody break up with you, and it could be something that might have been brewing for a while. If that's the case, think about it. You're going to give somebody that much power over your life where you're here stuck on stupid, and they're going on with their life, and you here grieving. You lost a bunch of weight. You almost ready to lose your job because you're not going to work. So you're going down and they're going up. How do you give somebody that much power over you?
Right.
Now, we're awfully silent on this one. I thought this would be where everybody come in jumping with both feet. Who we haven't heard from tonight? Let's somebody else get in there. Let's hear some more voices besides me, Glenda, and Dr. Johnson and Andre. Who else want to get into this, chime into this? Because we want to make sure that we don't have anybody after the night. We want to make sure that any of us break up with anybody, or anybody that we know break up with somebody, that they have enough ammunition, enough arrows in their quiver to know how to rebound and get back. So let's really share this right now so we can get this all out. So when we go through those, and it's 5 stages, and we're on the 4th stage of grief, it's the same as a death. We go through grief in a relationship, because when you get attached and connected to somebody, and that connection is such that it's almost like a death, that you really go through stages of grief. Even if you don't think you are, even if you're tough, oh, I'm tough as nails. That don't affect me. I'm good. I'm glad they gone, man. Good riddance. But deep down inside of you, there's some changes that's gonna come, and you'll deal with it. Whether you deal with it open and honestly, it's gonna come. So when that comes, we want you to know what it is and how to deal with it. So who's gonna share next? Okay, I hear crickets.
Good evening. This is Annette.
Okay.
How are you all? Hey, I don't think you give people that much power over you. I think you just be so hurt that you don't know how to help yourself. And I think we just wallow in our own self-pity. I think that's what we do until something snaps us out of it, and who knows what that is, but it takes a long time. And I think that's what we do.
Do you think we can shortcut that, or you think that's something that happens automatic, or you think some people just stronger than others, or what caused that, you think, Annette?
I don't think we can shortcut it. I think it's just the matter of how much we put into that relationship or whatever we did, and how we feel. Like, I think we begin to feel lost in ourselves. I think we that's what it is. We just lose ourselves. And I don't know what it takes.
I guess the question I need to ask the whole audience, everyone, do you love hard? You know, some people love, like, some people just, hey, we just playing, you know, we just, hey, kicking it, having fun. Hey, you know, you go, you know, if it do, if it don't, whatever. But when you love hard, when you really love hard, and you give, and you think long term, you're gonna go long term with this person, and you've given it your all in all, and you've invested your time, your resources, and you really know y'all gonna go all the way, and the breakup happens. You know, this is what we're talking about. How do you cope? How do you go through those stages and rebuild and go and be able to go back out there and dust yourself off and go back out there? That's what we're really talking about. Because all of us, I'm sure some of us have had one night stands, casual hookups, or whatever. I'm sure some of us have done that. Good. Somebody was gonna say something.
Huh? Can you hear me?
Yeah, who's this?
Yes, loud and clear.
It's your it's your son, Rufus.
Okay, which one of my sons then?
Man, come on now. I'm playing chess over here.
I'm just having fun. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Man, man, Rufus, man. Boy. I ain't gonna cuss. I'll give you that. But you said some stuff, and the way she started it out, it was like, man, it's cool. I enjoyed it, but I saw the whole thing, but I couldn't always hear it. I'm done talking.
No, go ahead and get your point, because you said the way you started out. I think you were going somewhere with that.
Yeah, I was happy when just the whole vibe of the whole thing was on point. And then I couldn't, I was having technical difficulties. So depression, shoot, I can speak on it.
Go ahead, you got the floor.
I'm just a big man in a little world, Rufus. And I love you to death. So here we go.
All right. Thank you for that comment. I appreciate it. Love you too, son.
All right. Talk to you later, Pops.
All right. Bye. All right. Who's next? Yep. Cut it out, Glenda.
I didn't say anything.
But depression. But back to what hand. This is the fourth stage of grief, is depression, and depression is real. It's very real, and this is where a lot of us get stuck. A lot of us get stuck, and we don't get out of that. This is where people that commit suicide or contemplate suicide, this is where this comes in. And this is why it's so important. This is why we kind of park in here, put our kickstand down here for a minute, because we want to let people know there's hope. There's hope. You know, there is hope. And just like you found this one or that one found you, you'll find another one. You'll find another one. When I was young, they told me, and I don't want to say this, but I shouldn't say it, but I gotta say it. I was told buses come every 30 minutes.
Oh, man, you something else, Rufus. You a horse of a different color, Rufus. I just want to see the wizard, I guess.
But I was told that. I mean, and just to lighten it up.
What, man? You gotta take this serious, man. I'm doing my best.
I'm taking it serious. But this is a part where you need to understand that one person is not your whole world. Absolutely. You know, when you put all your eggs in one basket and it don't pan out, yes, it's tough. It's difficult. Yes, you look at, and some people say, I've lost all this time. I've lost all of this and I've lost all of that. When you look at it like that, yes, it's hard. But you get sometimes the things that you go through are the things that make it better. Sometimes these are things that build you for the person that really has your name on them. Sometimes you have to kiss the frog sometime to find the prince.
Yeah, how many frogs are?
All depends what pond you at.
I stopped going to ponds.
Somebody put PTSD. PTSD is real, y'all. That's whoever put that in there, that's real. PTSD is real. A lot of times PTSD will stop you from being in a serious relationship, because PTSD puts you in a position where you don't let anybody totally in.
Right.
You're always on guard. You always have a wall that you're not gonna let anybody approach or come across.
Right.
So and we may do a series one week on PTSD in relationships. You know, when I was married, my wife told me, "So Rufus, you gotta go see the man." What you mean? What man? And why I gotta go see the man? Talking about you shell shocked. I said, what? She told me I gotta go see the man because I was shell shocked. And I said, okay. So
hold on, Pops. Oh, my bad. I'll chill. I didn't want to cut you off.
Go ahead.
It's almost like this is right around that time around Soulfly and the 70s and all that kind of vibe. So it's kind of, yeah, man. You see what I'm trying to say?
Not yet.
Okay, then I got shut up then. But no, I was trying to say yeah. I'm just going to listen. I got you, Pops.
All right. I'm excited to have you on here tonight, son.
I'm trying to tell you that, Pops.
Okay, but when she told me that, I didn't want to believe it because I thought it was normal. I didn't see anything different. But she said I had issues, so I went to the military doctors, and they said I had PTSD and other stressors. So they immediately put me on a program, and as a matter of fact, I'm still going through it today. I'm still going through it. So, and I noticed that it has affected my relationships. I noticed that as a matter of fact, it even changed my attachment styles. My attachment style now is avoidance, where I won't get vulnerable out the gate with anybody. I'm more of a standoffish person. And that's my attachment style, a blueprint for the way I love now because of PTSD. So whoever put PTSD in that comment was excellent, because PTSD is something that's really important in relationships. And we may have a segment just on that one week, because that's something that's a whole topic all by itself. I'm sorry, Glenn, I didn't mean to hog it. Go ahead, Glenn, I give it back over to you.
No, you wasn't hogging it.
Okay.
You were speaking your truth.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, we're going to go to the fifth and the final stage of this grieving period. It's called acceptance.
Okay.
All right, finally, acceptance. This doesn't mean you're over it, but you've accepted the reality. It's over and I'll be okay. Now, and a good example with that would be you start to think about the future and make plans that don't involve your ex. You know, like you moving on, you may start hanging out with your homeboys or your homegirls, or you may even start seeing other people of the opposite sex. So that's a good example. You'll start to move on and get past the hurt and the breakup. You'll start getting involved maybe in church. Change some of the places that change some of the places that you went, the places that you and your ex went to. You won't go to those. You won't go to that movie theater anymore. You'll go to another movie theater. Maybe it's a little bit further, but you don't have the chance of running into him or her if you were to go there. So let's see. Acceptance is about finding peace and moving forward. It's about reclaiming your life and your joy. So anyone have any feedback in regards to, you know, when you finally accepted that your breakup was, oh, this is over. I can, you know, I accepted it. He or she doesn't want me anymore. I can officially move on with a clear conscience. I'm not feeling any anger. I'm no longer in denial. Do anybody have any feedback in regards to that tonight? Them crickets working hard tonight.
That's the best, excuse me. That's the best advice I heard all night.
Yes, yes, a lot, and also especially in marriages, when you're married, and you're divorced or separated, or however you guys come to some equitable split in a marriage, we you just because you got to that acceptance stage and you can move on, it don't mean it don't stop hurt. You don't stop hurting.
Right,
You still go through hurt, and you still have some pain, and you still have some reservations about who you're going to talk to next. But you're able to move on. You're able to pick up the pieces. Your life is not stuck. You're moving forward. You're progressing, and you open your heart again. You're able to love again someone else, and be able to to be acceptable to somebody being in your life again. And that's very important, because as you go through these 5 steps, the deal is to get you to acceptance. And some people are strong. Some people can go from breakup to acceptance right away. And that's beautiful. You can do that. But all of us go through those stages. Like we might be the first stage, we might deny it. First thing is, no, baby, you really don't mean what you're saying. This isn't, hey, you just need some time.
right.
Why don't you go on a trip to Vegas and come on back, and then we discuss this?
You paying?
If I'm paying, it ain't over for real. That's how and then that's how that worked. But the anger part, Jesus, that's when it gets rough. When the anger part, and you get physical, you want to fight your mate, you want to destroy their car, you want to key their this, you want to throw a brick through the window. That part get crazy quick. That part get crazy. So that anger part is something that you really have to work at, because the anger part can get you in some serious trouble and get some people hurt. So that's, if you have anybody, or if you that person that get angry, please get help yourself out, and not take it too far. Don't. What now? What's up?
I love you, man. I'm about to lay it down.
All right. But that part is the part where you really need to get some help. If that's the case, you might need to get some counseling, because Glenn and I, we are relationship coaches. We can help you get from where you are to where you want to go. But some of this stuff, you have to get a licensed therapist or a counselor to work through and help you work through some of these pieces in your mind. Because sometimes you get what's called triggers. Right. And it could be something from your past. It could be something somebody say, or something that could trigger these emotions. And that's not Glenn and I background. We can't help you there. But a licensed therapist or a medical person can really help you, because sometimes you might need some type of drug to help you cope. But we don't know. So Glenn and I, only thing we can tell you is refer you to someone, a licensed person, to help you with that. Because the anger part, really, the anger and the depression, those are the 2 areas where you might need outside help to get through. Because depression can really make you hurt yourself. The anger, you're going to hurt somebody else normally. Depression, you're going to hurt yourself. So you don't want to turn inward on yourself, because you might have someone, you don't know who loves you. By you killing yourself or hurting yourself, there's so many other people going to hurt, because you don't know who you're connected to a lot of times.
Right.
So those two areas, the anger, which is the second stage, and the depression, which is the 4th stage of grief, those 2 areas, you might need some professional help in those areas. So consider that if that's the case, okay? And the third one is it's bargaining. bargaining, sometimes you bargain with yourself, sometimes you bargain with your other partner, and sometimes you take it to the Lord. You even bargain with God. God, if you just help me out this one time, you just bring her back into my life. Like Luther, if I can get one more dance, that's the kind of, that's the kind of stuff. That's what bargain is all about. But the goal is to get you to acceptance. What does it take to get you to acceptance in a relationship? I know we got all kind of stories we can tell about our relationships. I can tell you, I've been socked in the eye twice by two different ladies. And it, so I know the anger part very, very well. So it happens every day. If you were a policeman, you would have all kind of stories to tell us about domestic violence. Mm-hmm. And domestic violence is real. It's real. And Glenda and I, if we counsel you and you tell us violence involved, we have to report it. We have to report it. We have to refer you to a counselor. We can't even talk to you. And that's how the government see violence, any type of violence now. Anybody got in the comments they want to discuss anything that we left out on the table about the 5 stages of grief in a relationship? Anything that we left out, anything that need to be covered, or anything anybody want to share tonight? Andre, what did you say? Left eye. Andre? What was that? I missed it. You typed so fast, man. What was that?
It was a side joke. You were saying violence, but I'm sorry. Left Eye made a good point to show Andre Rison he can't do what he was doing.
What did she do?
She set all his clothes on fire in his big multi-million-dollar house.
Yeah, that's anger. That's anger. And that goes to show you that no matter who you are, what level you are on society, or how rich or how poor you are, we all go through this. You're not immune. We all go through it. You might not believe, you might say, well, that'll never happen to me. No, I'm cool. I'm strong. I'm solid. That never happened to me. And you might be that one in the back bedroom. Please help me. You don't know. You just don't know. When it comes to relationships and things of the heart, you just don't know.
Right. That's why your selection process has to be extremely,
yes.
It has to be on point when it comes to, connecting with someone, because someone in the chat was talking about, people attacking other people as far as, and I just want to make sure I understood them correctly. And I said, busting windows out. And they was like, yes, that's a part of being angry. They acted out because of their hurt and their, the pain that they were going through. But sometimes once you do those types of offenses, it's hard to come back. First of all, the person may never want to deal with you again. They may not even accept your apology. You may get jail time. You may have a fine. You never know the consequences for your behavior. So it's, when you see those red signs in your relationships, like now I know with the example Left Eye, that wasn't the first time he exhibited issues. She saw some red flags before she set his clothes on fire. She should have took heed of that, but she was so caught up in her feelings. That's why it took her that way. That's why she was, set his clothes on fire in his multi-million-dollar house. But we get the signs prior to we get to that point where we just explode and do something totally out of character. I know for myself, I've caught myself. I said, you know what? Before I make you turn me into somebody that I don't want to be, I'm going to tap out. You can have this. Deuces, I'm out. I'm not. Because I don't want to go to jail for no nonsense and foolishness. And then I have to call my mom and dad, or they see it on TV and they have to, what's going on with you? Man, I don't want to be an embarrassment to my family, and I don't want to hinder or hurt my livelihood for some nonsense, with somebody that really, at the end of the day, they really wasn't worth it. Because if they cheating on you now, or they hurt you throughout the relationship, when you look at it after the breakup is over, was it really worth it? You probably could have let that person go a long time ago.
A lot of people think this kind of stuff happens when you're young. That at our age, when you get in your 50s, 60s, and 70s, you don't do that kind of stuff.
No, they still do it.
That's what I wanted to say. It ain't the age. Sometimes it ain't age. Like I think Andre put in a text that young people think that's love, and some people think if you don't fight for them, and you know, and I had a person that I was dating once, and and she would break up with me just to see what I fight for her. Yeah, and I said, and I couldn't understand it for the life of me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, break up. I'm breaking up. Okay, deuces. And then she said, "You ain't gonna fight for me. You must really don't care." You know, and I couldn't understand that for nothing in the world. To me, that's playing games.
It is.
Yeah, so I couldn't understand that for the life of me.
What was the age range between, you know, with you and her? What was the age range? Was
It
it?
was a 8-year difference.
Well, no. What did this happen when you was in your 40s, your 50s?
I can't tell.
Last week?
I can't tell.
Oh, it sounds like recent.
No, I didn't say that. I'm not telling. I refuse on the ground that it might incriminate me.
I get it. I get
I
it. Talk
plead
as
the
much
fifth
or
on
as little as you like.
That's it. That's our motto. That's our motto. And let's hear some. Before we get wrap this up. Let's hear somebody. Somebody talk about the 5 stages of grief in relationships. And somebody talk about that. Let's hear from somebody that haven't spoke tonight. Anybody haven't spoke tonight want to share? Where's Angela? Are you on tonight? Is Angela on tonight?
I don't see her. Not tonight.
Okay, because I know she normally has some words of wisdom for us.
Yeah, and neither is Felicia, so we won't get none of her
testimony. Oh, and neither is Mildred neither?
Nope. No.
Oh, that's okay. Because those are the people that really have some wisdom to share, and I like the things they say and how they bring it out because that's a new perspective. Because on the call, we got about 12, 15 people on the call tonight. Yeah.
Hey, so hello. This is Annette again. I would like to say something.
Go ahead.
So I think in relationships, I think people misjudge people. They look at a person and they take a person for face value. I don't think they look deep enough to see what type of person or who that person is they're dealing with. Because sometimes people allow you to see things up front. That's just because that's what they're showing you. That doesn't mean that's them deep inside. And I think a person deals with a person for what they see, not for what they know. So when a breakup or something happens and people go angry and go bust the windows and get crazy, I think that craziness or that bust the window is the true person. It's just that person that misjudged them took them for granted. And then they got a chance to now see what they really were dealing with. They didn't understand. You were really dealing with someone that you truly didn't know. You thought you were dealing with someone that you could play with.
Right.
And that person showed you, now I'm going to show you what you brought out of me. And Glenda I listened to Glenda. Glenda, you're very mature because you hold it back and you'll tap out and walk away. But that's you as a person. But a lot of people are not like that. Other people are saying, hey, I'm a fighter, or they were a fighter and you just didn't see all of that. You saw what you thought you saw.
And not even,
but you didn't really see them. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, then I'm glad that they showed themselves before it got too late in the game. Because if we'd have got further late in the game and we were married and couldn't get out, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be scared to come home at night.
Yeah.
People know what buttons to push.
That's right.
Now, what they say when they start getting knocked over the head? Oh, what?
I was responding to a comment in the chat.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, what the heck?
That's right.
Yeah, because I'm glad they showed us, and you're right with that. That's true because a lot of times we say a new broom sweeps well, and that takes us to the stages of a relationship because there's also 5 stages of relationship. when you first get together, that's a honeymoon stage where everything is beautiful and you want to spend all the time you can with them. You don't even want them out your sight. You can eat them up. That's that first stage. And then after you've been together for a little bit, you start getting to that norming stage, uncertain stage where you get to see the true person, because normally a person can't hide who they really are long term.
Right.
Normally they got to show who they really are. And that's that second stage, that norming stage. And then when you go to that stage, the next stage is the adjustment stage. In this adjustment stage, you got to make some decisions, because you've spent the time with this person, you've seen this person, you've been around enough. Now is this who you want or this who you don't want? And here's where your red flags and your boundaries come into play. In that third stage, if you're not respecting your own boundaries and you have some dead things, you have some what do you call that, non-negotiable things that you want in a relationship that you got to have, and if you overlook them and you let your boundaries and don't follow your own boundaries, this is when you set yourself up trouble. If in that third stage it's not going to work, tap out. Like Linda said, deuces, tap out. Because if you don't tap out, if you go further, you're going to eventually tap out. But at what cost?
Right, exactly.
In those initial months or the initial years, you can tap out and you get out, and you're not really hurt or you're not really no real damage to you or the other person.
Right.
But if you ignore those red flags and continue to go, more than likely, somewhere down the road, it's going to be an impasse where you guys can't go any further. And that's when that anger and that depression going to come in when you to break up. So that's something you got to consider. And if you get past that third stage, that fourth stage is commitment stage, where you've chose this person has chose you, and you guys work together to make that relationship work long term. Then after that, you get into the blitz stage or the acceptance stage, where now this is my boo, this is my person, this is my soulmate, this is the person I'm going to live the rest of my life with. And that's the way all relationships goes. You ain't getting around it. Even if you don't think so, you're going through those 5 stages. And this is the results of what we're talking about today. If you don't go through those 5 stages with somebody, you're going to be in this breakup. This is where the breakup comes in, because you didn't negotiate those 5 stages correctly. Somewhere one of those stages, you didn't learn the lessons. You didn't apply. You had your head in the sand. You didn't. Go ahead. Somebody say something.
I was just gonna kind of chime in, and maybe this could be like something you guys could table to next week. But I'm wondering, sometimes, do people kind of let their boundaries go too quickly? Because I was just literally yesterday just scrolling down Facebook, and this lady was on Facebook Live venting about her relationship. And the thing, like, mind you, I don't know her, she don't know me. And she just was talking about how she met a guy. They've been dating for 3 months. They just met, dating 3 months. She moved him in. She starts supporting him. She finds out that he's already cheating. Not only is he already cheating, but he borrowed money from her to loan to his new girlfriend. Woo! And the two ladies are bickering online, but nobody said anything about the guy who is who's the squatter. And I just began to wonder, like, maybe it was me, but she kind of went from 1 to your first stage to your 5th stage in 3 months. And I'm like, how do y'all get here? And how do you let your boundaries go so quickly? But yet we've been talking about recognizing this, but I'm like, I'm the outsider looking and seeing what happened. How did they not see?
You need to tell them come to Sunday night at 9. You need to give them an invitation, because they need to be here. And this is why we have Sunday night 9, so this won't happen to us. This won't happen to our community, because that's a mess. That lady now, she didn't put out all them resources, got this knucklehead in her house, and he's not only using her, he's using the other girl too, and he's trading her money to somebody else for whatever benefits he can get. That's not.
And both said they were in love, and I'm just trying to figure out, how did y'all get in love in less than 3 months? And I'm like, maybe there should be a time limit before you even say you in love or something. I don't know.
And a lot of times when people rebound or when people feel hurt or lost and they just want to have somebody in their life, so they settle and they don't go by their own boundaries. This is what happens. You can't shortcut this stuff.
No, you
When you
can't.
start shortcutting, you're gonna find yourself in a pickle.
Sure enough, a big old
Yeah.
juicy fat pickle.
Yeah, I'm glad you shared that. Thanks for sharing that, sir. And that's why we do the Sunday night at 9, so we can talk through this stuff. So when you get in one of those situations, you can say, we covered that last week. you no, I'm running like Forrest. I'm running. I'm out of here. Peace out. Okay. All right, Glenda, let's start wrapping this up. You wanna take us home?
I need you to take us home, actually.
Okay, everybody. Hey, look, we had a great night tonight. This Sunday night at 9, we talked about sister. Please tell me you're not grieving this Mother’4-Low. And we talked about it, and we talked about the five. We broke it down really to the 5 stages of grief. The 5 stages of grief was done by Miss Elizabeth Ross. She came up with it for the 5 stages of grief for death. And then they found out that not only do these 5 stages of grief come out during death, it also happened in relationships. People will grieve in relationships. And when they studied that, they found out it was the same 5 stages. So then they came into the relationship part where we as relationship coaches, we start noticing that. So we want to identify that. So we start talking about it in the same 5 stages. And the first stage is, once again, it's denial. When you deny it is when you don't believe it happened. You stuck in that one spot. No, not me. They're not leaving me. It couldn't have happened. No, they just need some time. And that's what that denial part is. The second part is anger. You upset. Man, ain't no way in the world they left me. Ain't having it. we're gonna meet and we're gonna battle royal until we get this worked out. And the anger, that's not healthy for anybody. That's not a good way to look at it. And the third stage is bargaining, where sometimes you ask yourself, if I'd have done a little different, if I just go to them and let them know that I change, I'll do more, I'll pay more attention, I'll buy gifts and all that kind of stuff. And then a lot of people get on their knees and, Lord, if you just bring her or him back into my life, I promise I'm gonna do better. I won't cheat no more. I won't get drunk on Friday night. I won't spend all the money. And they do that. That's the bargaining part. The fourth part is depression. Depression, it really hurts. Depression is where you, like Dr. Johnson said, don't even want to get out of bed. You're sleeping all the time. Life is passing you by. You stuck, and I'm not gonna say stuck on stupid, but you stuck in that one spot, and you can't seem to get beyond that. And you're just stuck in time, and your life is going down while they've moved on. And that's not a good place to be. The fifth and the final stage of this is acceptance, where you realize, hey, look, I've done all I can do. It's over. I understand it. I accept it. I'm going to go ahead now and put my life back together. And somebody said it in the night that you need a chance to kind of rebound and dust yourself off, and you need that moment to reflect on what you want, what you don't want. And that's cool. But on this stage in acceptance, it's not saying that you're completely over or you are not hurting anymore. It's just that you've realized that you can't change what already happened. So you go on with your life and you're putting your pieces back together and you're going on to a productive life. And this is what we're talking about. And you have to realize that we all don't grieve the same. Some of us will go straight to acceptance, and some of us will go through the steps, and we might go through them backwards. The first thing we might be is repressed. And then we might go to anger. And then we might denial. So it's no set way of doing this. It's what you do. It's how you internalize this yourself. And it may get to a point where you can't handle this. It may be a point where you might need some outside help. You might need to go to a professional, a therapist, to help you sort through some of this. If that's the case, there's no shame in that. There's no problem with that, because that's what we do. If you have a problem too big for you, go get help. Sometimes, and it might not have to be a psychiatrist or a therapist. It may be a close friend. It might be a brother, sister, or auntie, or a cousin, or it may be a preacher, or it may be a friend in the military, or anything. you have to find what you need, and you got to get through it because you want to continue to march. Glenda said a lot of this is because you didn't do your homework first, that you didn't do your selection process. And what the people in the South say, your picker was off. You didn't pick right. So that could be part of it. But we had fun tonight. Once again, this is Sunday night at 9. And what we do is we put this out on YouTube, and by Wednesday it'll be on YouTube, and you can go back and look at it. And we have a great time. We want to thank you for being part of our team tonight. We have a great topic coming up next week, so we're happy to see you come back. We've got some things that Glenn and I are working on. We can't tell you right now, but if you stick around, you're going to be thoroughly impressed with what we got coming up before the end of the summer, okay? Linda, back to you.
All right, guys, as always, we thank you for sacrificing your Sunday nights to be a part of our open discussion Sunday nights at 9. And I look forward to seeing you all next week, and have a productive and safe week. Good night, everyone.
Good night,
Good
everybody.
night. Good night. Good night. Good night.